Welcome to this episode of Chatting with Stacks. I'm your host, Bill Stacks, and today I got former 1% club member, Bob. Whoever
Having
has
those,
the docs has the money, right?
having those docs is big business, eh? Wow.
Yeah. Drugs, all that comes
Wow.
in there.
Wow. Unbelievable.
Imagine you got controls of the docks, right? And drugs are coming in. You can be like, bring everyone over there. You're good over there. You know exactly what to do, where to go.
Yeah.
So you control the docks, you control the money.
And they're paying the inspectors just to leave that container over there alone.
Yeah.
So everyone gets a taste.
100%. Or they'll
If
be
it's-
like, oh, listen, bring it over there. There's a big Caesar over there right now.
Mhm.
Or, they know what's going on.
Yeah. Well, one of the candidates in our federal election, he's saying he wants to put a scanner at every border.
A
And
scanner.
I think they got some sort of ion scanner that can pick up um, irregular shapes. It's basically,
Yeah.
I think, an X-ray.
Yeah.
I think they're going to start to try to X-ray every truck that comes across.
I think there's so many that it's probably impossible for them to do everything, right? Or you think they could?
I don't think they can. It's the same with the containers
Yeah, it's too
because
many.
they got
There's
the
just too
X-rays
many.
right there on the dock, right at the shipyard, but they can't put every container through that.
No, they could do random ones and things like that.
Or ones that they got a suspicion of.
Yeah. So what's you go there? Do you start working for them?
No. They said no. You're our guest. We're going to take care of you. Don't worry what it is.
Do they know you have to stay for a while?
Yeah, they're all good with it. It turned out a lot of this chapter was single guys, and they lived at the clubhouse.
It was they'd all just lived in this. How big was the clubhouse?
None of the houses are very big in England. Sorry, Bill.
Sorry.
Um, 2 levels. So, but the main level was basically just enough area to have a bar area and a kitchen area, and then upstairs was some seating areas, and then a great big bedroom full of bunk beds. So if you were really tired, you better drink yourself into a stupor so you can sleep. Because if you're the last guy in that bedroom and you're tossing and turning, you're not sleeping. Everyone's snoring and farting. It was just like going to camp.
Oh, so everyone sleeps in there. Like they
Yeah,
all.
it was
Wow.
wicked. I really liked it, actually. I must be more of a communist than I realized.
So what do you start doing there? Like, what's your average day like?
Nothing. So I was kind of getting bored hanging out there. They had a couple guys that didn't have traditional jobs, and they come around and check me out and hang out with me and drive me around. And I don't know if you've ever been to Europe, but I've been twice now. I've been once to England, and for that big long trip, and during that we went to Ireland. We'll do Ireland. We'll talk about Ireland too. And then I've been once to Portugal. But every time you go to Europe, it's like you're stepping into the History Channel. I love it.
Yeah.
I love that shit. You can't believe how, because we're pretty young countries over here, man.
Are you drinking every day over there? Like,
Oh,
are you
geez,
riding?
yeah. I started drinking every day. These guys love going to the pub. They took me out. They treated me great. When they would go out Friday nights, we would rip around the city and go to a pub, smash a pint. Next pub, smash a pint for the night, right? And a bunch of times they had a bike for me to ride. They're like, here, go grab so and so's fat boy, and I'd fire up the fat boy, and I'd be riding with him through the little narrow streets of these little towns on the wrong side of the road. It was pretty wild.
Do they ride in formation and everything?
Well, when I was there, I don't know what was going on with it. They were just having a laugh because I was hanging out with them. I wasn't on a bike this one time. It was a national run, and oh man, they just all took off all at once, all going the same direction up on sidewalks. I was like, holy fuck, you get fucking screamed at if you did that in North America. Because, to be honest with you, it was dangerous. I like, fuck, I'm glad I'm not in the middle of that pack. So, but no, they would go for like supper and stuff at a little cafe, and it was basically the lady just switched her living room into a place to put about 4 little tables of 4. And she made a home cooked meal back in her kitchen. And we'd all come in and she'd tell us what was for supper. And you'd either say yes or no. I think there might have been 2 choices. But I think it was only 1 choice. And she just gave you a home cooked meal, meat, potato, and veg, right?
Yeah.
And we go, and that was it. That was our supper, and away we go for the night. We were good to go, man.
Wow.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. I really liked that over there. So you weren't spending $40 because it's a fusion food truck and everything's got to be fancy and overpriced. Food trucks used to be the go-to. Now they're all they made them all stupid and overpriced. But yeah, so they took care of me that way. They had bikes for me to ride. There was a university campus in their city that probably once a month they'd have a big party and they'd open it to the public and they'd have this like Rob Zombie and music like that just smashing through the sound system, right? I'm like, holy fuck. Thank you. I like that kind of music. But they'd take me out there. They bought me all my beers. Everything was on them. I ran out of smoke. Somebody ran out and grabbed me a pack of smokes. Like they treated me like really, really, really well, above and beyond.
Yeah.
They
While
took
you're
me
there,
out. No, go ahead.
while you're there, are they asking like about your club and what's it like over here? Are they asking you questions?
Yes, that was a good thing. It did actually have a lot of those conversations. And, because I was green enough, I knew enough not to say something that if I didn't know the answer, I would tell them I didn't know the answer. You know what I mean? It'd be like, yeah, you got to remember, bro, I'm only a few months in and this is where I happen to be. I said, but, some of the stuff you're asking is out of where I'm at on this thing right now. Okay, I get it. So they were never like bummed out. But the one guy was telling me yeah, they've been having meetings for a year now. And the coin toss was because there was already 81 was already in England at that time, and they'd already had confrontations with them and bang them ups in the middle of the night and stuff. So it was between, are we going to join up with the Outlaws or the Banditos? And like I say, the way that they colored their patches red and gold, it looked like they were going to go Bandito, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think. And then after a while, after like 2 months, Leicester was a good chapter for how many guys had. I was gonna say it was a small chapter, but it's not. It had a good population. But anyways, the Leicester guys, most of them had jobs and stuff, and the other chapters from their club have bumped up to the fact that Bob from Canada was there, and they wanted to hang out with him. So then they packed me up and we jumped in the car. And next thing you know, I'm living in Birmingham, which is like the second biggest city in England, right?
Yeah.
Do you watch that series Peaky Blinders? It was a good series.
I've seen a little bit.
Yeah, that's based in Birmingham. And actually some of the roads that they mentioned on that TV show, they still call the roads the same thing. It's called the Loop. There's the Bull Loop down by the market. And they had that way back in the 20s, I guess. That show was the show was supposed to be after World War One, I think, in between 1 and 2.
Yeah,
was the time zone. I like that show. So yeah, so then they took me to Birmingham, and then from there, the one guy didn't have a job, and they made sure he had a car to take me. So he started taking me to all the other chapters. I think the only chapter I didn't get to was a place called Wolfhampton, I think. And I think I went to all the other clubhouses that were in that club. They had one in a place called Forest of Dean. Don't ask me where the fuck it is. All I know is we were in the trees, man. There was trees. The road ended and the trees started, and there's goddamn sheep everywhere on the road. Weird as shit. And a town called Forest of Dean, and we had a chapter there. So he took me out there. We had to cut through London, England to get there. And these guys were ex-military MI6 guys who had they'd been in George Bush Senior's, the Dad's Gulf War.
Yeah.
And they'd spent a lot of time in Sarajevo in the Balkan War.
Did you come across any other clubs while you're there? Like that were friendly with these guys? Or
Yeah. There's another club. It was a multi-chapter club all within the city limits of London, and they were called the Outcasts. And I think from what I understand, half of that club came outlaw and half of that club went over to the 81. So
it got divided, basically.
Yeah, that happens. Well, that happened with that club that the Outlaws turned outlaws in Canada to get here. Only half of the chapters came, and the other half became instant enemies.
That's crazy. And then they know each other. Like these guys were probably just hanging out with each other last week, and now they're mortal enemies.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy, right?
Yeah.
So that happened with that club from the Outcasts, from what I understand. I know I met him. I went to their boss's house. His wife made me supper, and I went and had a shower at their house and played with their dog and met their little girl and stuff. They had a funny story when they were first starting to hang out with the Outlaws. They kind of did. There was two couples, like one of the Outlaws and his old lady, and one of the Outcasts and their old lady. Maybe some other couples too. And the cabs in England are pretty big in the back, right? They kind of got their own compartment, like on those porn shows. So she, the one guy had a tool with him. He was just a little guy. He was only like 22 years old, and he was going to put it back, and the thing went off. It shot the other guy's old lady in the fleshy part of her ass.
What?
And they're driving around downtown London going night clubbing. So he had to take her somewhere. I can't remember where he took her. He knew somebody, thankfully. And man, dragged the lead out of her butt cheek.
And guns are very rare in London. Like they're illegal. Guns are illegal in the city, right? Cops don't even have guns, I believe.
No, they don't. If they have what they called an armed response unit. So if the Bobby can't clunk you over the head and get you under control, he's got a radio for the arm unit.
Yeah, all they have is a nightstick, right? Yep.
Yeah, man. So these guys in England, they were beauties, man. They took me everywhere. They showed me all this shit. They fed me. They took me all these really cool parts of England. And when I stayed in Birmingham, there's a place outside of Birmingham called Tamsworth, and it had a little castle on it. And so once in a while, Joe was the guy that spent most of his time with me. Joe would get on his bike, and there'd be the spare bike in the back of the clubhouse there. He'd say, grab a helmet, and we'd ride out to this little castle out there in Tamsworth and a couple beers and ride back. It was just like being at home. When he took me back to Heathrow, the poor guy had a tear in his eye. He's like, brother, he said, if we all join up, he says, will you transfer over? I said, you know what? I said, for you, I probably would, bro. Like we got along that well. We really, really had
like
fun.
You loved it over there, huh?
Yeah, man. I fit right into these guys. The time they took me to Ireland, bro. And we had a chapter in Wales. It was so cool. You go up this mountain, you're going up this road on the side of the mountain in Wales, and they've got castles carved into the side of the mountain, bro. It's like wicked cool out there. That shit, I love that shit, right?
Did you fly there? You took a boat.
We were driving.
You drove to where?
To Wales. Wales is kind of on the north of England, but it's its own country. It's like Scotland is, but it's not on the Scottish side. It's on the other side. So from Wales you can get in a ferry, and the ferry takes you to Dublin. So I think 4 of the outlaw guys from different chapters, they say, hey, does Bob want to go to Ireland this weekend? I said, yeah, absolutely. So they stopped around and picked me up, and we first went to Wales and hung out with them guys, and then we went to the ferry, and then we were supposed to sleep on the ferry, but all we did was drink on the ferry. Then we end up in Dublin, and then we go to this this town called Limerick, and it was another club that I think they were the Road Tramps or something like that, and I believe that they patched over too. So when the Outlaws came to the United Kingdom, they came and popped open quite a few chapters all at one shebang.
So it was they were spread out everywhere.
Yeah, so they had two in Wales, one in Ireland, and then I think 7 or 8. Oh no, probably more than 8, probably over 10 with the Outcasts and the Outlaws in Britain itself. So yeah.
So they were treating you like a celebrity basically, because you were the guy that could help them get transferred over. Basically.
Yeah, I got the royal treatment. They were all like wicked good to me, and we had fun. Like I say, I got drunk downtown London at the Outcast Clubhouse and don't even remember that whole night. I was behind their bar playing the music all night. That's about the last thing I remember. So fuck knows what happened there.
What about weapons? Do they carry weapons? And what kind of things were they?
Yeah, man. I was with these two guys in a chapter called Stoke-on-Trent, and we were coming out of somewhere and to the van. They were going to take me somewhere else. So they threw me in the back of the van and locked the doors. There's a work van. It had no handles on the inside, and the doors were locked. And two guys beaked off to them, and they ran over and they start bam out of nowhere, boom, 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 boom. They're in the middle of a fist fight. I'm like, holy fuck! I'm like, let me out so I can fucking kick one of them in the face too or something, right? One guy runs over, he grabs a screwdriver, he runs back, and that ended the fight.
Oh man!
I said, holy fuck, that escalated quickly. I said, why didn't you just let me out? I could have came out and helped Chase. No, let's go. That was it, man. Wow. The one guy, man, he got married to this like 18-year-old girl, and he's probably in his early 40s. This dude, cool guy. So he rented this big nightclub in this town called Stoke-on-Trent, and this place had all these cool, big, huge nightclubs full of beautiful women, all dressed in dresses and shit like that to go to the nightclubs. Hey, beautiful place over there. So he rented the nightclub, and they're up on the stage where they're, probably back in the day bands, but where the DJs play from, and doing their vows. And right after they said "I do," they killed the lights and they let off some pyrotechnics. Well, holy fuck, we all hit the ground. We thought some bad shit was going on.
You thought the place was getting firebombed?
Crazy, eh? So, yeah. So,
did you say something about a grenade?
Well, that was in, what was that in? It was in the Scandinavian countries. And I don't know how we all ended up in the Scandinavian countries. What is there over there? Sweden, Copenhagen, Denmark.
Denmark, yeah.
And there's another one. But anyways, so the Outlaws, the Angels, and the Banditos already were there. They got there early. And two of them outfits, I think it was the Angels and the Banditos were having a big fight. And all the bikers over there are ex-military, and their arms depots over there aren't guarded. So if a war breaks out, any citizen can go and grab themselves the weapons that they need for. So that's how it's set up in some of them countries. So one place was having a party, but see, they had like citizens there, and there was a citizen that got killed. The guy fired a rocket-propelled grenade into the fucking window of the clubhouse and blew the shit out of everything, man.